Now I don't have a lot of time anymore, but I do want to talk about a few other things here, just to have mentioned them as well. Let's talk about Windows development. Windows 10, pretty cool, right? Much better than Windows 8, I think we'd all agree. Creators Update looks very cool. If you're on the Insider Ring and you're getting these things already, there's some really cool stuff there. People love it, you know. How do most people develop for this? Web apps, WPF apps, we see a lot of that. Some UWP, although like I said, not that much, although maybe with Xamarin we'll see a little more of that. Of course, when you do something like HoloLens, I don't know if the SSW guys, do you have a HoloLens here? Have you shown it to people? Maybe it didn't on user group, perfect, very nice. So that's very cool. So I'm not gonna talk a whole lot about this stuff. But certainly wanted to mention it, especially because with the Xamarin stuff, and so it plays into it, and didn't want to make it appear like that was not important. Was there a question? Or? No. Okay. Another thing that in the long version of this talk I'm spending almost 2 hours on. I don't have that time here, but again, I didn't want to not mention this at all. Azure, of course, is super important. I hear Australia is one of the most active regions for Azure. I don't even have a truly updated slide for this, but a little while ago, I think there was 30 Azure regions, and this is growing super rapidly and one of the most successful initiatives for Microsoft, I would say. And you know, the reason I'm bringing this up, even though I'm not talking a lot about Azure here today, is just to kind of drive home the point how well this is working out for Microsoft, and that, of course, is why we are seeing a lot of this stuff. Why is Docker important? Because of cloud deployment, Azure being one of the platforms. But that doesn't mean you can't go to other platforms, right? You want to deploy to AWS? Fine, right? Nothing keeps you from doing so. So I just wanted to mention that stuff here just so people don't walk out of here and say, well, he didn't mention Azure in the state.NET, must not be important. Right? No, it is probably the most important thing that Microsoft has going. I chose to not spend a lot of time on this today because everybody talks about it anyway. The one thing that people often don't notice or don't know about Azure is if you have an MSDN subscription, you have Azure credit, right? Don't throw that away. You can use that credit to pay part of your Azure bill if you want. So activate that, make sure you take advantage of that. And that pretty much brings me to the end of the presentation. I only have like one announcement here, and that is if you're here on site, if you're interested, there's eval forms in the back. If you just put your name and address on this, we'll sign you up for a free Code Magazine subscription and send it all the way from the US to Australia, which is downhill, right? It can't be that expensive, I figure, so. Yeah. So we have that, right? The magazine that comes out 6 times a year, plus a ton of online content and digital content and so on and so forth. And yeah, with that, I'm wrapping up my talk. If you have any questions, I want to turn it over to the audience now. Also, consider us a resource. I always tell people that, right? We are not the company that's going to send you a bill for an email answer. So if you have any questions, fire them our way. Check out the links that we're going to put into the show notes for more downloads. And you can contact me directly. I'm not the expert on every single thing that I talked about today, but we do have people. Adam has people, right? So I'll burden him if I have to. And yeah, we're here to support the community. It's kind of our thing. So thank you very much for coming. I hope this was useful to you guys. And if you have any questions, now let's turn it over to the audience. Thank you very much. Microphone. Ow.
Thank you. SQL Server Enterprise Manager on Mac.
No. I don't think so. Is there? I'm not a big data guy, but no.
No problem.
Now I don't know. Aren't they going to add some to Visual Studio for the Mac to like have the connect and structure changes, stuff like that, but not like a whole enterprise management SQL Studio experience? I don't think.
A lot of our Angular guys are all ex-Java, so Actually, getting them anywhere near a
Yeah.
Windows machine is tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. I can follow up offline. I can certainly get you the answer, but that's about all I know about it off the top of my head.
Thank you.
That's it. Oh, hold on.
You mentioned Angular 2.
Yes.
You didn't mention Vue.js at all. What's your feelings on that?
Yeah, so I haven't personally done anything with it, but we have a guy in our company who who you may have heard of, Rick Strahl, who is like driving all of that for us, and he is kind of starting to be all gung-ho about that.
It's the best thing I've used in
So
ages.
I usually value his opinion quite a bit, and so it must not be all bad. Right?
Yeah, and I think it got the most GitHub stars out of all the frameworks in 2016. I don't know if that's a good indicator or not, but it's definitely got a lot of traction. So I was surprised you didn't mention it.
No, that's true. Yeah, I probably should have.
Okay.
Once, I always do once a week we get together and just play with new stuff, and he has been pestering me for about 3 months. No, not that long, but since probably early February to look into that. And so he'll shove it down my throat relatively soon, and I'm sure then it'll be added to this presentation because it does seem to be very promising from what I hear from him. But I haven't even looked at it myself yet.
All right.
And it's like, with the JavaScript stuff, I mean, there is just, the development is so fast and so many interesting things coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
So don't take any of what I said today as this, this is it, and don't look at anything else, right? That's just kind of an open-ended thing for sure. The man who is doing all the odd stuff has the microphone.
What do you think about Visual Studio 2017 experimental? Should we use it? Should we avoid it?
I don't have any experience with it. Adam?
I say use it.
Adam says use it.
And part of that answer was based on we've had such good experience with Visual Studio Code and the daily updates. We've had the whole Brisbane office uses it, and they have never had an issue with it.
Yeah, I agree. So you like the updates all the time in Visual Studio Code, just not Windows.
Yeah, that's right.
With the .NET Core authentication part, is that how well developed is that? Are you producing Web API with authentication, and it's gotten quite confusing with the Owen and Katana and all that stuff? It's putting an end-to-end authentication Web API based service out there that you can pop something like an Angular 2 or Vue.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest with the authentication stuff, I think there's probably better people to answer that question, because we kind of got real frustrated with all the different authentication stuff.
That's where I'm at.
Rolled our own a while ago, and that's what we were using everywhere. And
so I felt like I'd just gone back to 4.6.2 sort of, and just forgotten that core stuff, and I just feel like I'm just going to leave that for a couple of months to the next version to come out to make to allow some tutorials at least to be complete.
Truth be told, so what we are doing now a lot is, rather than using that authentication framework, we have, like I said, very, very little code that generates any HTML type of stuff in our app. So in fact, we've gone to a point where we have mostly just service-driven stuff. And so we have services that we use for login that basically inject all the information on the response on the JSON workload, right, in the HTTP header. So we authenticate through that and just have our own stuff for that. And so that's why I don't have a lot of experience with.
So maybe separate out the authentication from the rest of the app. Is that what you mean?
Well, it just becomes part of one of our microservices. So we usually have like a user management microservice, and it can log you in by adding appropriate stuff to the HTTP headers, essentially.
Right.
So that's worked pretty well for us. It's a little, not the most intuitive thing, I guess, when a new developer comes on the project, but it allows us to have only Web API backends and on single-page apps.
That's certainly what I've been looking for in tutorials. Maybe a good magazine article sometime.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Okay.
Any other questions? So I have one question while these guys film their evals. Because tonight is free, the price of the pizza is an eval form. And good comments are always appreciated. You've been running a magazine for ages.
We have a 100th issue coming up as the next one.
Right. That must be a bloody lot of hard work. And I have to get a newsletter once a month, and that's enough drama for me. And I used to buy magazines all the time, a long time ago, and then I stopped doing it. Are your competition dropping off? Are your subscribers dropping off? What's happening?
So it's actually, I mean, the magazine business these days is interesting in the Chinese proverb sort of way. So certainly print publications are not growing. Right? It was kind of funny when we started the magazine 20 years ago, kind of like Visual Studio, or close to 20 years. There's all these other people around, and you know, they made fun of us because we were just a small company wanting to be a publisher, and haha, isn't that cute? And none of them are around anymore, right? So the only magazines really that are around in our space are like MSDN, that's Microsoft owned. And so yeah, a lot of competitors are going away, and a lot of competitors go online only. And of course, for us, probably the most common way people read Code Magazine is digitally, right? Whether it's Kindle, whether it is online. We just have we're working on a brand new version of a mobile app. And so that's where most people read the magazine. But I enjoy having the print publication. We will not stop doing that. I kind of think of it as a best of. So you'll see us do drastically more online content than print. But we enjoy having the magazine. And it's what keeps us a magazine, right? A magazine that goes digital only often becomes just a blog, which may or may not be a bad thing. But certainly I enjoy being a real magazine and being able to hand out the magazine, even though that's the printed version. You know, the colored dots on a sheet of paper are not the main thing anymore these days. And you know, we're doing it because I love doing it. It's kind of a really cool thing. You know, we do a lot of software development, huge projects that go on forever. The magazine comes out every so often, goes relatively fast. You have a finished product in hands. Everybody loves it. It's just a fun thing to do for me. But yeah, it's not a money-making endeavor at this point. I don't think any of the magazines really are. But not having that business model of needing to make money is what allows us to keep doing it. And we kind of actually have kind of a push for it, because I feel right now is a time when there's a lot of need for explanations, right? There's a lot of new stuff going on, and whenever that happens, we have a huge knowledge gap where, you know, what you need to know is up here, what you do know is down here. As products mature, that gap shrinks, but right now there's a huge gap. And so for us right now, in a way, it's actually kind of a good time. But yeah, most people read it digitally, no question.
Awesome. All right, if there's no more questions, all right, thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much.